Is Luka the best player heading into the playoffs?
No. There's plenty of guys, by the way, who believe that they are the best player.
Fast.
What's
like,
that?
Hey, you didn't even think.
No. Oh, no, I did.
Ain't nothing to think about.
They gave me the
There's
question.
nothing to
They gave me the
think
question earlier.
Jeez.
Well, he was prepared.
I was ready. No.
No?
First of all, was he in the MVP conversation? Did I miss that?
Oh, he's been in the MVP conversation the last 5 years, I believe.
At the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
and then by the time
but
we
he
get to
didn't
the
qualify,
end,
he didn't make 65
he's lucky if he makes the, yes. That's one
his
good reason.
team.
But no, the guy who got my MVP vote, if I'm going to say there's a guy who's the best going into the playoffs, it's Nikola Jokic, the guy who got my MVP. But there are a number of candidates for that we could talk about. This is the problem ultimately.
Let me tell you this before you go, Rick, but Luka is the one guy that if you put him on the court against Joker, he can cancel him out. Only guy in the league that can cancel him out, numbers for numbers, and say, all right, the rest of y'all do y'all thing. Maybe we got a chance at winning.
Okay. If I'm going to, if it's going to be a match between those two guys, I'm going to take the guy who was actually able to take his team and win a championship, as opposed to the guy who got to the doorstep and then lost his, with the referees and fell short.
Okay.
This is the problem that I have. The bigger problem I have, because I love Luka, and Luka may very well in these playoffs prove that he's the most unstoppable guy. Mm-hmm. This is the problem that I have when as soon as a player goes to the Lakers. The hype train is out of control. Nobody was talking about Luka Dončić being the best player in the playoffs. I see that look. The best player in the playoffs, and now he becomes a Laker. And now we're asking the question, is he the best thing we've ever seen? Is he better than sliced bread? It's just too, I have to live, for you out there, I have to live with this every day here with this next to me. And even being a Boston Celtic, there's still the Inglewood. Man, it is a weight to carry up here to try to balance out the scale with all of the Laker hype on this side.
First of all, it's not Laker hype.
It is Laker hype with an H.
Well, Keyshawn, is Luka the best player heading into the playoffs?
No, I would think there's guys like SGA and Joker that would definitely have something to say about that, amongst many others, and Tatum's and in Browns and Ant-Man's and even his own teammate LeBron James and Steph Curry. Look, there's not a hype train behind Luka. He's always at the beginning of the season in the MVP conversation. He carried us, meaning us four right here, basically minus Kyrie Irving, to the NBA Finals a year ago. Okay, that's what he carried. He put a lot on his back. Defensively, they put him in situations that he couldn't defend. Obviously, you mentioned the referee situation. He got into some of those things. But I can't sit here and let you sit next to me and act like that once he got traded and the playoffs playoffs are just now starting, that we are sitting up and saying that he's the best player in the entire league just because he's a Laker fan. Dallas didn't think he was the best player. That's why they got rid of him. What a mistake. What a mistake. We take on players that want to come play for us that happen to be.
He didn't say he wanted to play for the Lakers. See, here we go again. We got to embellish.
No.
We take on players who wanted to play for us.
That want to play for us, that's happy to be here. Outside of Dwight Howard, people don't leave L.A. when they're good. He's good. And we are glad to have him. We're happy to have him. Okay. Don't hate on us.
Paul, is Luka the best player?
All right. Luka's probably not the best player, but I will tell you this about Luka. When these playoffs is over, Luka will have more memorable games or more memorable shots than the other players that I probably have ahead of him, because he does it every year. I mean, when he isolated Gobert, hits the back from 50 feet away, when he isos. I mean, he has so many memorable moments. I remember a couple years ago down when he did it to the Clippers or something for the win, right? Right on the left side, it was
nearly out of bounds.
Nearly out of bounds for the win. So he's going to put together more memorable moments. But right now, there's no denying what Joker has done in this game the last 4 years. He's the best player going in. Now, the question is, can he elevate the Lakers? Can Joker elevate the Denver Nuggets? That's going to be the question on who's the best player, because everybody has a great regular seasons, and now you erase that. If he's not, he's right there. I mean, I can't deny Luka. I'm looking at his playoff points and rebounds. He's up there with the greats, and he's just now entering his prime. So he carried a 15 Dallas team to the finals. I wouldn't be shocked if we say in 2 months from now, Luka is the best player in the playoffs.
Jokic's numbers this year are just...
Oh, they're crazy.
Oh, my God. Oh. He's so good. He's so good at basketball. It's crazy.
So crazy.
Crazy. Jokic is the best player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
After that, you can make a conversation for any of the great players that we're going to see once the playoffs start. You can make a conversation for Tatum. You can make a conversation for Shea. You can talk about Ant. You can talk about Luka. You can talk about LeBron. You can talk about Steph. Of course, this is when the greats are their best.
Right.
So we should expect to see that. And Luka is one of those and one of the game's greats right now. And he should think that no one should guard him. So JJ isn't lying. Sure. If he wouldn't be great if he did think that there was somebody out there that could give him problems.
Paul, you felt that way when...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to elevate your game at the highest moments. This is where stars become superstars.
Right.
And Luka's clearly a superstar.
Would
you be mad, Rick, in a couple years when Joker joins Luka in L.A.? I wonder how that'll just eat you to the core.
No.
You wouldn't even know what to do.
No, well, I have nothing against the Lakers. I have nothing against the Lakers having success.
Everybody that watches us on television when you are with us.
All your friends do. I know. All your friends text you all the time.
Let me know.
Would you do something about that guy next to you?
I will say,
I know.
my mother watches the show every day religiously.
Yeah.
She hears every word that any of us say.
Yeah.
Every single day she watches the show. But I think he has the biggest contingent of friends watching the show at all times.
Yeah.
By the way, my mom's a big Joy Taylor fan.
Oh,
Just
thank you.
put it out there.
Keyshawn is always blowing up during the show.
Yeah.
The Mavs won their first play-in game, beating the Kings 120-106. Klay Thompson dropped 23 points after going 0 for 10 in last year's play-in game with the Warriors. After the game, Klay talks about the game and what the Mavs have been going through this season. Paul, who benefited the most from the Mavs win?
Well, the Mavs didn't really benefit because this is the thing. The Mavs had championship aspirations this year. Now they're in a playoff situation. But I'll tell you who did benefit, the Sacramento Kings. They're in Cancun today. They're in the Bahamas today. I would be cool having an early vacation when I knew we was weak anyway. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, they underachieved. They underachieved.
They might be in Antigua. They might be.
Like, yeah, but that's who benefited. Well, like the Mavs, you're in a play-in situation, and then you got to play another game just to see if you make the playoffs. So it didn't really benefit y'all since you have championship aspirations because when you traded, well, first of all, when you signed for Klay Thompson at the beginning of the season, you were like, this is the missing piece that'll get us over the hump because we had no shooting. So there's no justification for what the Mavs have done this year. There's not 1 win, 2 wins. I mean, the only way the Mavs benefit if they take this team to the finals and win it. That's the only.
And that's not going to happen.
That's not happening.
Nobody benefits from it. It's a play-in, and it could be a play-out after tomorrow, right? It quiets the noise for 48 hours or so. Lakers play on Saturday. They're in the playoffs, right? And so when you look at it, you say to yourself, they traded away Luka. He mentioned going out and getting Klay. At the start of the season, everybody was healthy. You just figured this was your championship run. Now you're going to settle for a play-in game or two? Now, that's not the goal here. You know, maybe Nico slept good one night out of the last couple months. Maybe slept, maybe got a little bit of sleep. Just a little bit because they won the game.
They changed the rules. You can sleep good now. Certain medicines you can take.
They changed the rules. I don't think they ever had those rules for the GMs, to be honest.
Who benefited the most, Rick?
Nico Harrison did, without question. Because he has, to your point, like, what happens if the Mavs win tomorrow night and then the Lakers lose game 1? Now what are we looking at?
That's okay. Losing game 1 and you winning one game, you in the playoffs, but the series is not over with. So you get one extra night of good sleep. They turn the clock back. Okay.
All right. No, Nico gets a little bit of juice here because I can't help but look at what happened with the Kings and their GM, who also traded what they thought was a franchise cornerstone in De'Aaron Fox. And as a result of making that trade and making those moves and then losing this game, even though that they had home court advantage,
he fired the head coach along the way too, right?
And fired the coach early on, but he lost his job. Nico has, one of the things that Nico has said is he's really talked up the supporting cast. Unlike you guys in suggesting that Luka is the one and only reason that they went to the finals, he's saying, no, we put a really good team around him. And that's why I made the trade, because I believe that if I had a combination like Kyrie and AD at the heart of this supporting cast, we would have a better chance of playing for a title. Whether you believe that or not, that's his argument. If you lose this play-in game to the Sacramento Kings, then that's a tougher argument to make that this supporting cast actually has the ability to play for a title. If, on the other hand, with only AD and no Kyrie, this group ends up making it into the playoffs, then you've got a little more of an argument to say, you know what, the vehicle is there. And if we have a healthy AD from the beginning and a Kyrie, and we draft a shooter, or we add some sort of piece in the summer, you can at least make that case, right? But if you lose, if they had lost last night, then that's a much harder case to make. So I think Nico gains a little bit about when it comes to his support for the supporting cast.
You know, they beat a team that a general manager was on the way out and a head coach was an interim head coach, and they got rid of their best player in
He
De'Aaron
just
Fox.
said all that.
And
You realize that, though?
I did. I said all that, and then that's why if they had lost,
No, but I'm
it
saying,
would kill his
you
argument.
realize that.
I don't think it's a big deal that they won, but it would have been a big deal if they lost.
That's fair.
So I think he got a few days of rest,
Yeah.
a few days
A
of
day.
getting the full bit of air in your lungs. And I actually think AD had a nice night. So,
It's okay.
you know,
Played all right.
he was okay.
It's okay.
Right? He wasn't out there giving them 4 points.
Right.
It's
So,
not-
Which we've seen before.
Right.
It's not going anywhere, though, Joy.
right, but they needed to take care of business against the Kings, okay? So they did that. So we're not going to overly compliment them for something that realistically they should have done.
Right.
Now, if they lose in the next game and don't make it to the playoffs, then we'll
revisit all this again.
revisit this conversation.
Yep.
However, if they make it into the playoffs, even though none of us think that they're going on a run or doing anything,
Right.
and they might very well get swept in the first series, making it to the playoffs is better than getting knocked out of the play-in. So they took care of business on night one. Perhaps they'll do it again and get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
When you let Luka go this year, that was the end of the story.
At least as far as
playing for a
fun.
championship.
Agreed.
Okay, so they extend.
Well, I take no.
I mean,
Wait
they're
a minute.
postponing vacation,
Yeah, they
like,
like-
for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think it matters for Nico's ability to argue,
Yeah.
which he clearly seems intent on doing. I think it helps.
Hold on.
If they make it into the playoffs.
The end wasn't when they made the trade. The end was when AD got hurt 2.5 quarters into his arrival, and then Kyrie got injured. Like, you have to see.
So you really believe with Kyrie, Clay, and AD
Yeah.
that they was getting ready to really make some noise in the West?
I think they had a chance. I think
I
they
do
were.
too.
I think they were a legit
I do
contender.
too.
Okay.
I do.
In the West, the way it looked, I thought they had a chance too.
For the same
Healthy.
reason that we say the Lakers now are a contender. I just
The
feel
Lakers
like
always
it's,
been contending.
I just feel like it's wide open. This is the one thing that I like. This is what I mean. This is the hype train. This is what I'm talking about.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.